It's a new year. What I'm supposed to say, what all the trendy habit books are saying, is that a New Year's resolution is a fool's game. But a part of living a creative life means you've got one foot in the fantastical all the time. We just emerged from the muck of a universally miserable year, and we're cleansing ourselves in the rivers of time, putting pain behind us and looking forward with hope. That is not foolish. So, forget the cool kids. You've already set a goal this year. Let's talk about how to accomplish it. You, as you are now, have not completed the goal. Your automatic processes are insufficient, otherwise you would have already done it. That means you are not equal to the task. That's normal. That's true of everyone who's ever wanted to do anything. You are filled with the potential to achieve your goal. So what do we do to manifest that potential self? We can think of it as a journey to another dimension. In an infinite number of realities, there is certainly a you who has done the thing. Here we find our first pitfall. The fact that they've finished the novel, repainted the house, recorded the album, whatever it is you want to do is not important. They understand their success. They understand the definition of success better than you do. I'm not a power lifter, so if I set a deadlift goal to reach by 2021, I would pick a terrible goal. Probably, I'd either pick something unattainable, or I'd pick something so trivially easy because I don't know my strengths. When I started this channel, I thought getting partnered or sponsored would be my main metric for success, but the fulfillment I've gotten from helping the channel's community through Discord and Patreon, and from connecting with other neurodivergent folks directly, is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. So how do we know when to alter our goals to suit our strengths? We have to hack our way through the tangled vines of uncertain realities, no two ways about it. When the vines are too thick, we have to change course. When there's nothing to cut through, we're going somewhere we've already been. Seth Godin has a wonderful book called The Dip about this process. He talks about two scenarios, working through the dip and pivoting to try something else. We're making our own roads, and that means the most direct path isn't always going to be the right path for us. Places that feel like an absolute fail state are just a sign we need to try a different approach. When we're being challenged just the right amount, we can feel it intuitively. Finally, how will we know when we've arrived in our dimension of potential? There will come a moment when you look back on everything you've learned in pursuit of your goals and wish you could go back in time and tell yourself what you know. Looking back down that road, you are experiencing the same moment as before, when the old you was looking forward, visualizing the reality where the work was done. It's like making eye contact through time instead of space. That's when it's time to look forward once more to your next dimension of potential. I've asked a friend who is very good at setting and accomplishing goals to help us out here. Please welcome Charles Faulkner A.K.A. Faulku Black. He has a Facebook page where he and his friends train people to get in shape for their perfect cosplay. He puts out motivating and funny anime content on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Charles, why don't you take a moment to tell us who you are and what you do?
I come from a sports background. I played, college football at a university in New Jersey. I played there for all 4 years, and I was also, academic scholar. I graduated from my university with 3.7 GPA. I also got a master's in psychology, and I kind of use my degree in my content of what I'm doing.
I am going to go ahead and transform you into a cartoon for the rest of the interview.
No problem at all. Now, with my content, I don't go by Charles with my content on Facebook, I do, but on Instagram, we have a page called the Heroes of the Carter Guild. That's where I go by Faulku Black. That's where we create funny anime-related content as well as anime motivation. And the reason why is because, when it comes down to anime, you're going to get a lot of funny, but there are those sentimental moments that we take away. A lot of them come from Naruto. A lot of them come from Dragon Ball Z. New shows now that we see like My Hero Academia. And there's a lot of motivation in there. And my goal on Instagram and YouTube on the Heroes of the Carter Guild is to, implement those things that we see in the anime and try to use it into the real world. This is something that for my undergraduate dissertation, I also did a dissertation on anime and moral development to help individuals move in a positive direction. And we're also focused on, online personal training, focusing on cosplayers. And I feel like I use the anime community because I feel like it is a misunderstood group compared to everybody else in that aspect too. I did come from a football background in instance too, but I was the guy that felt like he was Goku on the football field. I was the guy that wore the orange shirt under with the orange and blue customized cleats because I felt like I was a Super Saiyan on the field. It doesn't matter if, it's a cartoon or a Japanese cartoon or something like that. These are moral messages. These are moral fables that you can use in your everyday life. This is something that somebody can do in their academics. This is what somebody can do when they're trying to become an entrepreneur or anything like that. When you see Yami from Black Clover talk about surpass your limits, this is something that we can do in our regular lives all the time, trying to surpass our limits. So in a nutshell, the Carter Guild, as well as, on Facebook, our goal is to try to inspire as many anime fans as we can. And it don't really stop there, because usually when we do the motivation, we do talk about anime, but we also say if you're not an anime fan, just try to ignore the puns and hear the realistic things of what's going on. So the goal is to inspire as much anime fans, as well as bring more people that aren't anime fans into the mix and help people to be inspired to go the distance and chase their own dreams at the end of the day.
What do you think about New Year's resolutions?
When it comes down to resolutions, sometimes we usually focus on the results. All right, this is what I want to do. I want to lose weight, or I want to, become, let's say I want to aim for 1,000 subscribers on, YouTube or anything like that. We tend to focus on the end product instead of the performance aspect of it. When it comes down to resolutions, one thing that helped me last year was saying, instead of saying I want to get 1,000 followers, I was saying, what can I do with my content to put it out there to reach more audiences? And of course, if I'm reaching more audiences by the new approach in which I'm using, it will help me get to that step too. So focusing more on the performance aspect of the resolution instead of focusing on the result of the resolution. Because if we focus on the result, we tend to forget about the obstacles that's in the way. We tend to forget about the adversity that comes with it. But when we're focused on the approach, what's it going to take to get there, now we're focused on the adversity and the roadblocks that's in the way, and we're able to challenge that and get through it, and sooner or later we'll get to the end goal that we're looking for.
So what's the anatomy of a healthy goal?
Now, when it comes down to a healthy goal, I will say the best thing is, and I know it can kind of seem like an oxymoron or something like that, but the best thing you want to think about is a goal that is unattainable. A goal that is without reach. The reason why I'm saying that is because if you set the goals to something that you know you can achieve, of course, that's where sometimes the mediocrity can come. That's where sometimes we don't really push ourselves to the limits in which we want to go, in the direction in which you want to go. Some goals can be impossible to achieve, but if you're putting your mindset to that aspect, such as this is what I want to achieve, I know this is what it's going to take to get that, and it seems like an impossible goal, you're going to put out more effort and more energy into what you want compared to saying, all right, this is a goal that I want that I know I can achieve without putting any effort into it, versus a goal that's very hard to achieve, but now I know it's a threshold that I have to get to by setting my goals so high. And now the energy that I'm setting my goals for a high, unattainable goal is more energy compared to a goal that I know I can reach.
How do I know if I'm doing a good job? What are my markers for success?
Now, the main thing it comes down to that is, of course, you got your ideal self, you got your real self in that instance too. And we also got, just like what you're saying, we got the pessimistic view, meaning sometimes we think that the results and the goals that we set and the accomplishments that we get, sometimes we feel like that is not us. And that's in psychology, it's called the learned helplessness approach. The one study about, the dog that's trying to get outside of the electrical cage, it can't get out the electrical cage, it starts to not believe in its abilities no more. It kind of happens in that instance too, with learned helplessness. We feel that even if we're successful, we feel like it's either luck, or we usually don't even believe the individuals that's telling us that we're successful at the end of the day. I'll give you an example of my own channel, instance too. We just got to 10,000 followers on Instagram. One thing that they always call our channel, they call us underrated for some reason. Sometimes it makes me think that if we're underrated, maybe this success that we're getting is due to luck or anything like that. But the main thing it has to focus on is making sure that you're letting yourself know at the end of the day, this is something that I want to do, this is something that I'm looking to achieve, and this is something that I can believe in myself and know that this is something that I can achieve. Of course, getting the praises and getting, the respect from everybody else that's outside of your circle, of course that helps too. But at the end of the day, it's going to be having a positive mindset to break through that learned helplessness approach, to know that this is what I'm doing and this is what's going to move me in the right direction. Now, sometimes something that can hinder us into believing in the learned helplessness approach, meaning, sometimes we feel like our successes are not due to us, is, of course, when we hear the negativity that comes from a lot of individuals too. And it tends to make us want to move in a negative direction. That makes us start to not believe in what the individuals are saying as positive in that instance too. The main thing it has to really focus on is making sure that you know, as the individual, the one that's looking in the mirror at the end of the day, that these successes that are coming are successes that I know that's coming from me. And one thing you do too is always look at your stats at the end of the day. You know, look at what you're contributing to yourself in that instance too. Like, let's say for instance, you have an individual that's a powerlifter in that instance too. They notice their numbers are moving in a positive direction. They know that this is the effort that I'm putting into those positive directions. Another individual that might be in an academic field, they notice that their grades, let's say they had 2.5 GPA, now they got a 3.0 GPA. They know this is my effort that's putting it into this. It's not the luck on the anatomy test or anything like that. It's the effort that I exerted to put into this effort. So the main thing we'll focus on is making sure that, you know, you're challenging yourself, staying focused on your mind, and making sure that you're always shooting positivity inside your mindset at all times. Because, you know, the mind's a beautiful thing. It's something that challenges you at night too. It makes you start to think, all right, maybe this is something that is just by luck in an instance too. But you always got to continue to let yourself know that these are my accomplishments that I'm doing. And always remind yourself by the statistics in which you keep your results, anything that you're moving in a positive direction, to show that there's progress happening at the end of the day.
What if there's no report card or no stats for me to look at?
Now, that can definitely be difficult in that aspect too. And of course, just like you say, sometimes we have highs, sometimes we have lows in that instance too. One thing that can help the individual is always staying focused on the highs. It don't matter if it was a year ago, it don't matter if it was 5 years ago, because eventually, you know, happens in sports, happens in the academic world, it happens all over. We can have highs, and then there's days that we can have lows. Even with my content, sometimes I can see that the engagement is very high, then at times I can see the engagement is very low. And what I have to do at that time, I have to ask myself, what's making my content start to become low? And I have to go back to square one. I have to see, all right, this is what the audience is enjoying. You're staring away from what the audience is not enjoying. So you have to go back to what they were enjoying, mix it up a little bit to something new in creativity so it can move back in a positive direction. And you can use that in any aspects of life, just like as we were talking about. Many individuals tend to have, you know, some down days, some days that's not, you know, worse than other days in the instance too. You always want to focus on the positive days. You always want to give yourself a reminder that even though this is something that I didn't do good today, this is my ability. This is what I can do. Kind of the same aspect that I use on a football field too. There was days that I felt like I wasn't the player that I needed to be in an instance too. And I had to remind myself of this is what you can do on the football field. You might have had a down day, but you got to remember what you can do in an instance too. Because the positivity will always build you back up to move in a positive direction.
Once again, that was Charles Faulkner A.K.A. Faulku Black, and his links will be in the description of the video. I strongly recommend watching this guy's videos. He's like a real-life anime mentor. If you have a goal you want to crush, post it in the comments and we can all give each other a little boost. If you want that boost 24/7, you can head over to our Discord server. Everyone there is so loving and supportive all the time.
Thank you for watching. As always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Without them, none of this would be possible. Frederik, Adam, Nathaniel, Brittany, Leslie, Luke, Mark, Tannyn, Sam, Shawn with an E, Shay, Shawn with a W, Stevie, Mackenzie, Amanda, Gediminas, Joel, Jacob, Alexis. Thank you for being my patrons.